My name is Ida Marie Hede. I'm a Danish author. I am here at the New York Art Book Fair because I published the book called Gizmo, which is this book in collaboration with a German Vienna-based visual artist called Christian Meyer. This is an artist book with images of Christians and text written by me. The book started out as a collaboration between us based on some dialogues we'd had about some things we were both really interested in, which were ideas about how you can represent time and history in art and writing. And we both work with a lot of historical figures and themes, but depicted it in a sort of in these time capsules, a time that was elastic and different times existing at the same time, parallel with each other. And Christian was really interested in things about invisibility and visibility and technologies that had become obsolete, like the Polaroid camera and the Polaroid film. And he did a show called Gizmo, working around the Polaroid. Some of the things he was working with was these ideas around the fact that the Polaroid factory closed down in 2008 and there was no more production of this image. And we were talking about how Polaroids, how Polaroids or technologies that are obsolete sort of have this revolutionary energy before they completely die out. And we're talking about this gap in time where there's this power in the image. And the fact that Polaroid is an instant image, comes out instantly of the camera. And it's like a sort of magic. In today's society, we're talking about there's not a lot of ideas about magic and mysticism, but some of these ideas might have been conveyed in technologies like the Polaroid camera. And so one of the works that Christian did was showing some film of this guy called Ted Sirius. He was a sort of modern shaman in the 60s in Denver in the United States, and he had this ability to make thought images. He could expose images of himself on Polaroid with the powers of his thoughts. And he was a working class guy, a normal guy who would be sort of celebrated in these sort of laboratories where he'd get really angry and crazy. He'd hold this little piece of cardboard in his hand that he called his gizmo, and he'd get furious and he'd move around his body, and all of a sudden an image would come out of a Polaroid camera depicting memories he'd had in his childhood or depicting portraits of himself. And this is a piece of film that Christian exhibited, which shows him having this anger burst. Well, I sort of took the images as my starting point, but more the ideas of his work, things about how visuality sort of exists and is staged today, and these ideas of the Polaroid and the technology. I sort of invented a character who was actually a set of twins, a pair of twins. And these twins are born in the beginning of the book out of a loudspeaker that has become obsolete. It's this surreal image of children being born. They're not orphans, they don't have parents, but their parents is the technology. And because they're born out of this machine that's sort of revolutionary and obsolete, they gain these powers, almost shamanistic forces that are also quite feminine and feminist forces. And I made these characters wander through these different realms and different settings, encountering the Polaroid factory, getting a job at the Polaroid factory, falling in love with Ted Sirius, and sort of having these encounters, embodying the technology.